world needs. We need your passion. We need your authenticity. We need you to get mad. We need you to get messy. We need you to get raw. We need you to get real. Speak your story. Speak your truth. Let that light in. Be the light. We need to create change. And the only way we can do that is being authentic. Welcome back to another week of The Layla Show with me, your host, Layla Ziari, featuring all sorts of beautiful guests and beautiful people from all over the world who are coming together for one purpose, to share their stories, speak their truth, and create a conscious, unified community, one conversation at a motherfucking time. Real, raw, unfiltered. The Layla Show. Welcome back to another week of The Layla Show. I'm your host, Layla Ziari, and today we are talking to Ralph Velasco, who is a local location-independent travel photographer and international tour organizer. And you have written over 7 books. You're a YouTube creator, a public speaker, and yeah, you do a lot of things. So welcome. All travel-oriented, which is great. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I try to have that travel thread through everything I do. Yep.
Yeah, that's clear. Okay, so first of all, have you always traveled like your whole life, or is this just like you had like a event that made you want to travel and see the world or something like that?
Yeah, for the most part, all my life. When I was a kid, we used to go to Mexico about every other year to visit my grandparents on my dad's side. And then when I was 15, I studied in Spain for a summer. The following year, I was volunteer in Peru for a summer. The next year, volunteer in Venezuela for a summer. And the next year, I studied in Mexico City for a summer. So I've been traveling quite a bit since I was pretty young. So it's always been a part of my life. Absolutely.
Great. Love it. Love traveling. And yeah, I mean, as we were talking before I started recording this, I think travel is so important because I just feel like, well, you're from the United States too. So I do feel like we're very centralized in what goes on here. And, we don't really actually know that much about other cultures unless we go travel. Like, not much of it is integrated in here. And I think the best way to learn about the world and other people and just really get some perspective on your own life and your own situation is to fucking travel. So, yeah. So tell us about, like, I don't know, your experience of being a traveler. I know you've written some books. I don't know. I'm going all over the place because there's a billion things I want to talk about. So start with one of them, I guess. Well, first of all, you wrote a bunch of books. So, yeah. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, over the past year, I've written 3 books, and they're low content books. They're not novels, that's for sure. Right. But one is a travel activity book for adults that's got gratitudes for travel in it. People can customize it with journaling. But there's also inspirational travel quotes, adult coloring pages, crossword puzzles, word searches, mazes, things that have to do with travel. I imagine people sitting on an airplane, they want to go analog and, cut the cord. And so they've actually got a book in their hands and they're, doing some coloring I talked about that trip back in Peru back many, many moons ago when I was 15. And actually, I was 16 on that trip. But what happened is what made this idea happen for me was that when we were down there, we were 9 16-year-old boys from our high school that went down with 4 teachers / priests from our Catholic high school. And so we were down there as volunteers, as I mentioned. As you can imagine, after a week or so, you got 9 boys and we're all complaining about this and that. It's I wish I had my own bed, my mother's cooking, my friends and family, all that good stuff. And so one of the priests sat us down and he was 23 years old. I was thinking he's this ancient guy, but he's 23 years old. And and he said, guys, you've got this incredible opportunity to be on the other side of the world, to see what other people do, how they live, work, think. Be here now. make the most of this opportunity. Don't let it slip away by trying to be back at home
Yeah.
where you had those comforts and luxuries. Learn from this experience. So that those three words always stuck with me: be here now.
Yeah.
And so as I get older, and I've traveled quite a bit more since then, I am much more all about that: being here now, being present, being a more mindful and intentional traveler. So someone who's just more in the location. Our digital devices are made to take us away.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're great for that, and they come in handy. You're watching a movie and you want to look up someone's IMDb or net worth, whatever.
Yeah, I do that all the time,
I
honestly.
know, right?
Which is like also, but that also takes away from the fact that you are present watching the movie. So even that is just
Well,
convoluted. So
that's exactly what I'm saying. They are good for that situation, but they immediately take you away from that movie.
exactly.
And that's what they do when we're traveling, and we're getting notifications, or we're photographing and videotaping for our friends and family back home. They're taking us away from where we are. And so I'm all about, I wrote a book, my first book that I wrote was called 101 Tips for Developing Your Photographic Eye and More. That was a subtitle, actually. And so it was a photography book. And so the very last tip in the book is put the camera down.
I love that.
And yeah, as photographers, and I'm a photographer, I tend to go to these beautiful places, and I see them through the viewfinder of a camera,
Right.
and it just seems like a waste. So I go to these places, I come back, and I'm like, okay, I've got the receipts, I've got the passport stamps, I've got the pictures and video, but was I mentally there? You know, and so to me, it's more important to have those mental memories and experiences than it is to have the photos and video.
No,
So that's what I mean about being present.
yeah, but that's difficult because you are a photographer. So, like, how do you even balance that? But I found the same thing too. I mean, like, I lived in Europe for a year, and I mean, everybody, and I've traveled a lot in my life in general, but everybody the whole time was like, oh my God, let me live vicariously through you. And I was like, no, I don't want to spend my, I don't even know what I'm doing here right now. Like, I'm just trying to figure out my own life. Like, the last thing I want to do is run around taking a bunch of pictures of monuments for you guys. Like, that's not
Yeah.
what I need to be doing. But then on the other hand, like, I do live very fast, and a lot of us live very fast, and like we travel fast. So on the other end, like, I do like to have photos because it'll like trigger that memory, and like without, sometimes I just scroll through my camera roll, and I'm like, oh yeah, I would have totally forgot that I was even there.
No, you're absolutely right. And like the key word is balance.
Balance, yes, I
It's
think.
having a balance. And of course, we're going to take photos and video. We want to show our friends and family and have those memories later on, but there's a balance.
Yeah, there has to be a balance, but I feel like that must be hard because you are a photographer for you. But like, I'm sure you figured it out at this point.
Yeah, I just I used to lead photo workshops, which are pretty hardcore, all about photography, very serious photographers. And for 14 days, it's sunrise, sunsets, image reviews, one-on-ones, and it's just all photography all the time. And
Yeah.
that just, for me, that just got to be too much, especially when you're doing 10 or 12 trips a year, like I do.
Right.
It's too much.
Yeah.
So I started to pull away and back from that. And now I'm much more into this slow travel, what I call travel deep, not wide.
I like that a lot. I think like everything we do should have a lot of depth to it. And like, yeah, of course, photographs tell a story, but there is so much more to it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, okay, 12 trips a year though. What is that looking like? Like, I was reading about you a bit, and like, I know you go and scout places before you do these events, but then you also have events. I mean, not event, I don't know, it's not the right word. Events.
Uh, Trips or tours. Yeah.
Trips.
Yeah.
Event trips, but yeah. So, where do you go? Where are you going this year? Where have you been? How do you pick these places? What run us down like all of that, and also like what happens on one of your tours and trips.
Sure. Um, the way I come up with the destinations that we go to is I mostly go to places that I'm interested in.
Well, yeah.
I figure I'm fairly, normal, fairly average, and I know my people that travel with me now. Now I know them after doing this for 16 years, full time, and I always ask for feedback from people. But so I go to places that I'm interested in because I have to be excited about it. I just, yeah, I don't just go to places that I think the trip will fill up or that are popular because that's the last thing I want to do. I want to try to stay away from the tourist.
No,
Uh,
1,000%
yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah. So, and my travelers tend to be more well-traveled, so they're not like looking to do the Rome, Florence, Venice
Okay.
tour necessarily.
Yeah, because that's honestly like when I think of tours, I always think of, like let's go to all the touristy places and hop on a bus and go to the Louvre.
Yeah,
No, that's not you.
yeah.
Keep going. But that's good. I do appreciate that you do that because I think
Yeah, definitely try to get off the beaten path, and my clients appreciate that because they've probably already done the tourist stuff.
right.
They're a little bit older, like 40s plus, so they've got some travel behind them, and so they love that idea of moving around less, slower travel, where they're just we're staying in one, maybe two locations instead of moving around a whole country or region.
Right.
So we're doing a deeper dive into fewer places and packing and unpacking once, maybe twice. And it's just become a wonderful way to travel because right before COVID, I actually switched to this type of travel, staying in one or two really wonderful locations. Because when we travel, typically we can't wait to get out of the hotel, right?
No,
You're like,
1,000%.
yeah, I'm not staying at the hotel. I mean, I'm here in this amazing place. I want to get out and do stuff, right? Well, what if the hotel is an 11th century castle in southwestern France with 270 acres of grounds that, you can walk and there's just always things to do. So I wanted to create trips where the hotel was part of the trip.
I want to stay in a castle in France.
Yeah. Yeah. I stayed there for 2 months this fall.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I had a group myself, but then I stayed on and helped with driving some groups around and um got to experience living in Europe for a little bit longer than just, moving around too much. And so that worked out really well. So I go to places that I'm interested in. As you mentioned, I scout them out a year in advance because I want to be there at the same time of year as I'm going to bring the group back. Because those are the photographs I'm getting, the pictures, the experiences I'm having.
And you also want to like know what the climate is like.
Exactly. What the weather's going to be like.
In Europe too, there's times of years where businesses just close altogether. So, you kind of have to know that stuff.
Absolutely. Yep.
I lived in a small village in France and the whole village shut down for 2 months out of the year when I got there. It was very jarring
Wow.
to me.
Wow.
It's
What
like,
part of France?
I lived in Cassis, like in the south.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Right on the. I've been there. It's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a time. I liked it, but if I could have done it again, I wouldn't have picked such a tiny place to live in. I would have lived in like Nice or something instead, but
yeah. Yeah.
whatever. But yeah. Okay, so you go like a year in advance, you've got these trips, and you're trying to do like longer stays, which I really like because I don't know, when I think of like going back to Europe right now, like the next time I go, like I like, and I see people who are like, I went to this region and this region. I'm like, no, I want to spend like a month in each region. Like, I don't know. I don't like that quick paced traveling because I do feel like you miss out on so much authentic culture and experience and like really getting a feel of like the vibe there. And I really think that's important because otherwise it is just like, what are you getting? What are you getting if you rush through a trip? I don't really know, but I don't feel like you get much. It's just like kind of living your own life. You don't really get a feel of like everybody else's life. And I think that's really important to like understand how locals live.
And I think that so
For
many
sure.
people miss that when they travel.
Yeah, for sure. And, we're rushing around. We're, instead of a month, we're spending 2, 3 days in a place and trying to see and do everything. But like you said, you're missing out on so many other things. I'd rather spread that experience out over a longer period of time and not have to wake up every day, rushing around trying to see stuff because I know I'm leaving soon. Instead, it's like, well, if I don't feel like, heading out today, I'm going to chill on the couch in my Airbnb and I'm
Right.
not going to feel guilty about it.
Yes.
That's the key, is not feeling guilty about it.
No, 1,000%. I think that's so important. And the older I get, I just like I can't do a like couple day. I mean, obviously I would never go to like another country for a couple days because it's a long ass fucking plane ticket. But I mean like here, like my family and I have gone to New Orleans together twice in the last year. And but we've only like last time we stayed for 5 days, so it was a little longer. The first time was only 3 days, and like I was stressed the entire time. I needed a vacation when I got back because I was like,
Yeah,
I'm exhausted and I don't have time to relax because if I relax right now, like I'm gonna miss out on all this stuff. And then like, you find yourself like, yeah, I'm present, but I'm also like rushing to get everywhere. And then like at the end of the night when I should be like dancing and enjoying these, I'm just so fucking tired. But I can't be tired. I can't stay home because there's not enough time to stay home. It's like
that's right.
I just like I want to get away from that. And I think we all should get away from that in general. But I guess not all of us have the luxury like to travel all the time.
Yeah, to travel long periods of time, and that's what the sort of digital nomad thing has brought, is that, now people can actually work while they're traveling, because typically we had to get away from work while we traveled to come back
Right.
to work.
Right.
And so this new digital economy is pretty great for that.
I know. How long have you been independently? I like how you worded it.
Digital.
I'm not going to remember. Location independent or
Yeah, location independent just means intentionally homeless.
yeah.
Yeah, for about 13 years now.
Okay. But like
Uh,
have roots in Chicago, is that correct?
do I have groups in Chicago?
You
Once
have roots in Chicago? Like
Oh, roots. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
And so when I'm back in the States, typically I stay with family in Chicago,
Okay.
but otherwise I'm on the road leading my tours and all
Uh-huh.
that good stuff. Yeah.
I absolutely love that lifestyle and I don't know. I feel like we a lot of people aspire to have that lifestyle, especially now.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like I used to have that lifestyle more and I feel a little too grounded lately and I don't know how I feel about it.
Again, it's balance,
It is. It's
It's a wonderful lifestyle, but I've kind of gone to the other extreme. And so I would like to bring it back to center, where instead of doing traveling, because you had asked me what locations I go to.
yeah.
I do everything from Antarctica to Cuba, which I've done 19 times now, all over Europe, India, Vietnam, Cambodia. I'm trying to narrow down. I probably have 30 itineraries that I've developed and run,
Wow.
but I'm trying to narrow them down to ones that are less, have me flying around the world a lot less,
Right.
because it's getting brutal. I'm trying to narrow them down to Europe.
It
All my
makes sense. I mean, I get that just because, like, yeah, I mean, obviously, I would love to travel the entire world at some point, but like to have to go to like India per se or like Asia every year, that's like a very long,
Yeah, and I try
long
to
trip. I just feel like, for sustainability of your sanity, perhaps.
exactly. And I try to arrange trips so that I maybe do an India, Vietnam trip back to back, where I'm same in the same region. So I'm not flying all over the world
Right.
just to one trip. So that's really important.
Okay, but like you dropped Antarctica, like please educate me and everybody else who like really looks like Antarctica in my mind is some mystical like place that you can't even go to and like so can you can go there? Like I know I sound stupid, but like can you
Yeah.
actually go hang out in Antarctica? Because like from my like knowledge, it's just like a research area that you can take cruises to, but like you're not allowed to like go.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I had wanted to go to Antarctica, probably like most travelers, it's a
Yeah.
seventh continent. And, I calculated that 0.005% of the population has ever been there. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's some ridiculously low number, but I found a company that we fly down.
Okay.
So we fly from Punta Arenas, Chile to the continent, get off. We're on the smallest ship in the industry, a 67 passenger former icebreaker from Greenland. And we spend 5 nights on the ship in on the continent.
Okay.
And we never saw another ship. And there's quite a few ships down there, but that's how big it is, of course. But there's only a tiny little part of Antarctica that the tourists can go to. The rest is all research stations and, off limits.
Do people live there now? Like, is there
Uh,
indigenous people?
no, no, it's a good question, but no, there are no. I think it's the only it's got to be the only continent with no indigenous people.
Does
Yeah,
this not like absolutely perplex you and blow your mind on so many levels and do not have so many questions? Because I have
it's
so
incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
many.
And what I love about the cruise, that the ship that we were on, is that they give 2 or 3 presentations a day. So you've got glaciologists and historians and guys that had been down on the ice 30 years ago that are retired now, and now they're you know doing presentations on ships. And so really interesting learning about glaciology and all that good stuff. Really
I
cool.
like definitely have to go at some point because I find it fascinating and it is like uncharted land. Like you said,
Yeah,
0.5% of people ever go there. I dated a guy who worked on a cruise ship from Antarctica, and I think that was like the most interesting thing about him. I was like, I'm like, okay, now I'm here for this. I'm like, penguins and stuff. But yeah, but do you know where the indigenous people went? Like when they stopped living there, did they ever live there? I just have
I
I
I don't
honestly
think they
don't.
ever. Yeah, no, I think when the continents continental drift, and I'm the continental drifter. When the continents separated, and I guess Antarctica went to the bottom of the earth, that was probably before humans existed, because humans have only been around for maybe 3, 4 million years
Yeah,
in any form. And so I have a feeling it probably got down there before humans emerged, and so people never lived on that continent. I don't, as far as
that's
I know.
so wild. I just
Isn't that crazy?
know. It makes me want to go even more just because can you imagine? Well, you've been, so I'm not going to say can you imagine, but it's just like to have somewhere that isn't developed by modern day human technology is absolutely insane. And I don't think it exists anywhere but Antarctica in this world. So,
Well, what I was going to say is that the thing that struck me most was the silence,
mm,
and the fact that there's not another man-made object anywhere, like a cell tower or a fence or an
mm,
airplane contrail or anything. And it's just quiet. The only thing you hear is maybe the ship if you're on the ship, but when you're on shore, which they drop you off, of course, you're like, whoa,
that is jarring. Was it freezing?
No, actually, I went last February, and at this time last year, at least here in Chicago, we had this deep freeze,
Mm.
really, really cold freeze. And so I was joking at the time, because it was mid-January, I was going in early February, that hey, I'm going south for the winter, man. I'm getting out of Chicago. I'm going to Antarctica. And it was warmer down there. It was 25 to 45 degrees in Antarctica.
That is, I don't know, that's shocking to me, and I feel like that's going to be
Yeah.
shocking to anyone who hears this, because in my mind, it's like negative 1,000 degrees, and like, you can't go.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, because, of course, the weather can change.
Right.
We hit a nice window of time. I mean, it does get colder for sure. You got to worry about the wind,
Mm.
but we hit a really nice window of time where it was just absolutely beautiful. And I was just reading my notes yesterday from the trip, and I said I rarely wore my gloves. I didn't wear my winter gloves. I was just wearing like a pair of liner gloves.
Wow.
maybe just for the wind. I didn't even wear a hat most of the time, sunglasses, and my jacket was open. It was amazing. I never wore my long underwear. So
Wow.
yeah, it was fantastic. So
Jeez.
that was really, really neat. And,
We all gotta get down to Antarctica. I don't know.
come with me.
Are you still doing tours there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got one coming up the same week, February 1st through 8th.
Okay. Okay. So
So,
yeah, let's run down what do you got going on for 2025? Where are we going this year
yeah.
so far?
So I'm actually not on that Antarctica trip this year, but I went last year. But and a lot of people come on my trips because they know me, they want me to be there, they trust me. They've traveled with me before. I've got over 50% repeat rate of clients traveling with me over and over again.
Right.
I've got all 5-star reviews, not one other type of review, over 16 years. So I think that says a lot. But some of the trips that I have coming up are I've got 2 Cuba trips coming up one in February, one in April, going to Lapland, Finnish and Swedish Lapland.
That's
Uh,
really cool.
Really cool. One of the best things I've ever done in my life is dog sledding.
I want to do that so bad.
It is so cool. It's really, really fun. And so we dog sled, we go seeking the Northern Lights. We start in Stockholm, spend 3 days there. Then we go up to Lapland, which is right on the Finnish and Swedish border, although it does go into Norway and over to Russia. But that part, we fly up there, we spend 5 nights there looking for the Northern Lights, dog sledding, ice fishing. People can snowmobile, things like that. Then we come down to Helsinki, which is the capital of Finland, a
Wow.
couple nights there. And then some of us are doing an optional extension to Norway. So then we fly to Norway and we do southern Norway, which is absolutely spectacular. I haven't been there in about 30 years. So,
Wow. See, this
yeah.
is the trip that I would like. These are the things that I feel like we need you for because these are things I've always wanted to do. But I'm sorry, like I'm a solo traveler and I don't need to like do like, but like I'm not gonna take myself like dogs. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like that's something that I'm ever gonna like do without, somebody telling me where taking me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really good kind of like experience that, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll take myself to Italy and walk around and eat pasta and like, wine taste and stuff like that. Easy. But I just feel like something
Yeah.
like that is like
For
not
sure.
the norm, and I love that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where someone like me comes in, because I've got the contacts, I've been there before, I've vetted the vendors, the guides, everyone, the restaurants, hotels, so you can trust that you're coming on a very high quality trip, and the owner is on the trip.
Right.
Typically, there's a few trips that I don't go on. But for the most part, the owner's there to make sure everything goes right.
Okay.
So so there's pros and cons to small group travel. My groups are only 6 to 10 people.
Oh, I love that though. That's very
Absolutely.
personal. I think
It's
that's really
fantastic.
great.
And I get a lot of single women, single men that may be married, but they come on the trip because their spouse doesn't want to travel for whatever reason, can't.
Yeah.
But they love the idea that the trip is completely set up from soup to nuts. All you
Yeah.
have to do is arrange your flights to and from the destination with my guidance, tell you where to be when, and then we handle everything else.
Like food,
Everything,
hotel, all that's included in
that's right.
pricing.
Everything from picking you up at the airport on arrival to dropping you off at the end, except for some meals.
Okay.
I like to leave some meals open. We provide all breakfasts and on average one other meal per day. And then you can go out on your own, do your own thing, go with other people on the trip.
Well, I like that too, just for the sanctity of
Absolutely.
I'm a foodie as hell and I want to try the best restaurants in every area every time. But some people don't like that. Some people are like, I only want to eat street food. And I'm like, I want to try the best street food, but like you best believe I'm trying a Michelin restaurant everywhere I go. And like I want the be all and end all of fine dining everywhere I go too, because like I'm just fucking obsessed with food.
Wow. Yeah.
Food.
Yeah, and I make food a big part of my trips because I go to some of the best food cultures in the world.
Yeah.
And
What's your favorite food culture in the world?
Cambodia is up there. I
Okay.
love Cambodian food. It's absolutely wonderful. Thai, of course. I love Asian food.
I
India.
love Asian food, and I just wonder, like, how does Thai food differ in Thailand from what we serve here? Is it even similar?
It's somewhat similar. Yeah, it actually the Thai I've had here, and I'd say the same with Indian food. The Thai and Indian food we have here is very similar to what you find over there. You just get more variety over there.
Right, right, right. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, the people I buy Thai food here are actually from Thailand, so that would make sense. But I always, I don't know. I feel like we Americanize everything here, so I never know.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, and then like you think of like like Chinese restaurants, they don't really feel like that's Chinese food.
You
So,
said it. Yeah, you said it.
well, I mean, like then we have dim sum. You go to dim sum, and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea Chinese food was like this because we're so used to like whatever they shove in our
But then I went to Tokyo and I was surprised at how good the sushi that I've had here in the States has been compared to Tokyo.
No
Yeah,
way,
I was really
really?
surprised. Yeah, for sure.
Because you'd think that
Maybe I went to a bad place there, but no,
no.
because I went to quite a few different ones. I went to quite a few.
Oh my God, I would think that they have the best sushi in the entire world, obviously. Okay, well,
Yeah,
all right. San Francisco, New York City, you're still up there.
that's right. Yeah.
I think they have I don't know, they have the best sushi that I've had in America so far. So, New
Yeah,
York.
Southern California too. They love their sushi.
Well, I mean, I'm excited to be a Southern California resident soon and figure that out because I've really only hung out in Malibu and I used to go to Malibu every month, but I didn't eat that much sushi. So,
So you're heading back to California, huh?
yeah, I was a Bay Area person for a long time, moved to Europe, crash landed back at my family's house after that, just kind of reset my soul and my wallet.
Yeah.
And yeah, going back and gonna be a Southern California girl this time. And hopefully the fires stop burning soon and
Yes.
we all
Let's.
live. Hopefully we
let's
all stay alive. It's not
yeah.
funny. I had a whole tragic episode on it that I recorded last night, but I just don't
Yeah.
want to cry about it anymore. So I laugh, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the future, but I definitely see a lot of travel in my future. But okay, so we're going to Lapland this year. You're doing the Antarctica, but you're not on that. All right, what else this
Yeah.
year?
2 Cuba trips.
Cuba, right?
Then I've got the France, what I call France's Magical Dordogne, which is the staying at the private castle. Then I've got a taste of northern Portugal, and then a northern Spain's Basque Country and La Rioja, which is one of my favorite parts in the world. Favorite places in the world is northern Spain.
Okay.
And
I'd love to do.
yeah, then I just introduced a Tanzania and Zanzibar safari
What?
/ beach adventure for late June, early July.
No, that sounds
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, that should be pretty great. Yeah. And then what do I got? September is Armenia and Georgia, the Republic.
Oh,
Yeah.
I really want to go to Georgia. I just
Georgia's
feel like
amazing.
everybody I've met from Georgia is literally the best person I've ever met in my whole life.
Yeah, some of the best food in the world, great people, beautiful country. The northern parts looks like Switzerland, snow-capped
Switzerland is the prettiest place I've been so far, so
mountains. Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. So Republic of Georgia is also at the top of my list of countries that I love. So yeah, that, and then I've got an India trip and a Vietnam trip to pass on. Something else that I'm doing is arranging custom tours for people.
okay.
So if a couple or a small group of people or organization is looking to put together a trip, I can arrange a trip to pretty much any destination that I go to and be completely customized for their group. You wouldn't have to travel on my dates, because right now if you want to travel with me, I've got a set schedule. Yeah. So you have to come on my dates. But for people who don't want to or can't, I can arrange custom tours and you get pretty much the exact same experience.
Oh,
Wonderful.
that's really cool. I mean,
And it could be a lot less expensive than you might think.
okay, well, that's good to know. Hey, anyone, if you want to be my friend and travel with me, I don't really have any friends, and the ones I do just like really are rooted in their lives and don't travel because they're weird. I'm accepting applications for new friends. No, true. I'm always truly accepting new applications for friends because I don't know anybody near me like me. Nobody, none of my, nobody can just take off and go
Yeah.
on a whim. I feel like that's a rarity. I
Do you
feel
have a full-time job?
no.
Good.
I mean, yeah, when I'm grounded and rooted, I work full time, but I don't have to tomorrow either. I do like gig work, so I could literally cut it off. I can make as much. I mean, I don't love it, but like it lets me live the lifestyle I want to live. So I do like
Absolutely.
Uber, I do pet sitting, I do delivery work and stuff like that. I'll do like event work too, serving for events and I need freedom of schedule. So I'll work like right now I'm working absolutely full time. My eyes are swelling with work. I've never worked more in my life, but that's just because I'm about to move. So I might as well have a lot of money and I'm just in a transition. So I don't really care about like having fun right now. I don't see the point. So in a time like right now, like, no, I don't have any time for anything other than my goals. But in life, like, no, I have the complete freedom to do whatever I want when I want, which I would never give up. Even
Yeah.
if even if like tens of thousands of billions of people make more money than me, I don't care. You can't put a price on my freedom. So I'm gonna keep doing that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, do some content work and all that, whatever. Just don't put me in a schedule. I can't do it. I can't. I won't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never be a billionaire, but I've had more life experiences than most people will ever have.
Right.
Uh,
And
and
to me,
so,
that makes you rich. What the fuck is a billionaire
absolutely,
doing?
because
And nobody needs $1 billion.
who cares when you die? How much money's in your bank account? You can't take it with you.
No,
So
it
I've
truly
got
is.
these memories over a lifetime instead of just working for retirement and then you die the day after.
No, it's so sad. And then, like people like that are like, maybe I'll travel at that point. But it's like you didn't take care of your body, you didn't take care of your soul. You're no longer in a position where you can even get around like you used to because
That's
you
right.
literally gave your life to a system and said like maybe one day. And I can't. I see even friends of mine and I'm shooketh that they're like falling into this like, well, maybe I'll enjoy it one day. It's like, girl,
Yep.
bye. Enjoy it right now. What do you mean? Like it's just
Someday never comes.
someday literally never comes. And I mean, I have to remind myself even of that because I see how people could get like into that because in this 6 months that I'm in right now, I am working like to the point of physical failure right now. And like just literally going to work, going to the gym and going to sleep. And I'm like, ew, I could see how like people really get like trapped in this, but obviously like mine is for a season and a reason, and I can't fucking wait to just like not do this, but whatever. So
Bide your time. Yeah.
April, what month is it? January 14th, come April 1st, it's over. So come April 1st, it's over, but yeah. So
Is that when you're moving?
yeah.
You already have a place and everything?
I have a temporary place while I look for like I Airbnb a place for a month while I go look for like apartments because obviously I'm not gonna rent something sight unseen and get like scammed or anything. So
Yeah.
and if I don't find anything the first month, but I'm sure I will just Airbnb for a second month, but I doubt I'll have a problem once I'm there. But it is gonna be like a grueling month of seeing apartments every second of my life, unless I just find the magical great one the first shot.
Could be. Could be.
We're gonna manifest that because I really don't want it to be hard. Um, but yeah, so okay, got your bookings for this year, so we can do that at continentaldrifter.com, right?
No, actually, it's continentaldrifter.co.
Okay.
So everything's at that URL. All my everything. So you can find my new books there, my access to the other podcasts I've been on, my YouTube channel, everything I do, all the trip information. It's all there. Blogs. I got a lot of blog posts up.
Okay, great. Do you speak other languages too?
I speak Spanish and some English.
Okay. Some English. I speak no English, just okay, so that
Yeah.
obviously hasn't hindered you, so that's good. And then like Obviously like cultural immersion is super important, and like do you like teach people how to be like culturally present and like get them involved in like local activities and stuff when you travel with them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the whole reason that I put these trips together, because I love to share these places with people that come with me on later trips, to introduce them to the people that I've met, the experiences that I've had, the places that I've seen. So that to me is the best part of my job. Um, so
I know you must have so many friends around the world.
yeah, I do. I'm lucky.
I just think that's amazing. And yeah, I don't know. Do you want to tell us anything else?
Um, yeah. Well, as far as the books that I've created, called the Mindful and Intentional Traveler series, and it's a series of 3 books that I wrote this past year. As I mentioned, they're low content books, so they're not novels, but they're meant to help you be more present when you're traveling. So that's the mindful and intentional part of it. Because I think we go to these places and, like I said, we're there, but were we really there mentally? And did we
Right.
absorb as much as we could? So the books are meant to ground you and to, what I recommend is that every now and then, maybe you set a timer for every hour or two, and you put away your phone, your devices, you unplug, and every now and then you just stop, look, listen, feel, smell, touch, taste your surroundings. And you do that intentionally. You do that with purpose, and the idea that you want to get more out of this place. And so that's kind of the idea behind this. And so I also talk about the 5 senses that we have, and really using those, because we're talking about multitasking, I think earlier, where we're watching I'm watching TV, but I'm on my phone and I'm listening to a
So
podcast
bad.
and I'm eating and who knows what else, trying to kill 5 stones with one bird, and and not doing anything well.
No, it's all
Yeah.
I don't know how the more I like I don't know, get older and more in tune with myself, the less I can multitask and do a goddamn thing. I can't even no. I tried this morning again. I was like, I'll just put a little TV on while I set up my podcast to be published. I'm like, no, everything needs my 100% attention at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't, I can't do a goddamn thing. My brain does not, but no longer works. But like, that's probably good because it's probably not healthy that we've been multitasking like this. So,
Yeah, and we think we're saving time, we're doing all these things at the same time, but we're not doing any of them well.
no,
And
they're so half-assed. I read a comment I had responded to while I was on the phone with somebody. I was just like, this is urgent. I have to respond now. So I typed a response like while I was on the phone, and after I hung up the phone, I looked at the response and I had to edit it like 3 times because like there was just so I mean, like the point was still there, but it was so unintelligible and I like missing like keywords, and I'm like, all right, well, I thought I was being smart here. Now I just look dumb, you know?
yeah, exactly. That's
So
so
don't
funny.
respond to comments while you're on the phone. Obviously, don't. So with travel, so you tell people to like set the timer. Um,
Yeah, instead of we're walking, we're photographing, we're talking. I was in Spain with a really good buddy of mine just a couple months ago, and he's literally walking around Bilbao, Spain, shooting video live and live streaming it back to his family,
God.
and like every step of the way. I'm like, dude, that's nice that you're sharing this with your family, but man, you're missing out on the actual experience.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm like, I don't understand it.
I
So,
don't either, but I like that you instill that in your people because I do just think that that's so important. And like, especially, I mean, come on, when are you going to be in Basque region or wherever you are again? I mean, you're going to be there every year, but
yeah, yeah.
it's like, I don't know. And I just feel like we waste not just even in travel, just we waste so much of our lives not being present, and it's such a fundamental issue.
And that's a good point. My books are have the theme of travel running through them.
Well, because that's what you do, you know.
Exactly. But you're right. This doesn't have to be a travel thing. I mean, this is something we can do in our own backyards and in our own everyday lives for sure. And I think it's very important for that as well.
Right.
Trying to be present,
Well, yeah, and of course yours has to do with travel, but again, like it's good. I mean, these are practices that you can take everywhere, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Every single person in whatever the fuck industry they're in should be teaching what you're teaching at whatever level, because we need to instill that in people's brains, connectivity and presence, and like, yeah, just being present and open to new experience. I mean, especially going to some of the places you're going to, like, you never want to be like disrespectful of culture, and you always want to be like mindful where you're around, because I don't know, I see so many tourists going around, like, we used to make fun of all the Americans so much in like France when they would come to our town, like just like so unaware of like what they're doing, like there's just like this entitlement about that energy a lot of the time, and it's like, it's like not willingness to understand that you're not the only thing in the world. Like, yes, you're in this country, but like, do you know about this country? Do you know like how we live? Do you like how I wrote myself in there? I was living like them at that point, there's just so many different ways people live and get together and connect, and I think it's so important that we learn those things, and especially when we're traveling or paying attention to those things. I mean, like, I don't know, European lifestyle is pretty goddamn cool, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think everyone, around the world for the most part is very nationalistic, and we should be. We should be very proud of where we're from, and
I'm embarrassed.
and everything. Yeah, but us here in the U.S., we tend to kind of go overboard because for most people, it's all we know, because most Americans don't travel.
Right.
So they think that everything we do and our government does is the right thing and the only thing and the only way. And that's just not the case. I mean, there's so many other great ideas and perspectives and outlooks and on life that's why I travel, is to go and meet other people and learn from them, perhaps pass on a little bit of my knowledge or my perspective, and they can do with it what they want. But to me, that's what travel's about, is learning from other people and seeing what's out there. And when you only stay in one country and you only know one thing, that's pretty short-sighted.
No, it definitely is, and I do think like I've never been humbled harder in my life than like by traveling. Like, honestly, this pulled me right out of my own ass so many times, and then truly, but like I also don't know that everybody has that experience, because like how I travel, I do stay in places for a really long time usually, so I feel like, I adapt so much of that culture when I'm in there, which you can do in a short time, but I definitely think it's super fucking humbling. Like, I think we all need that sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I sure did. I got my ass handed to me when I moved away from this country, for sure. And I already like thought I was an intentional, and I was already an intentional person who had traveled a lot, but I don't know, something about moving like for keeps really flattened me. And I needed that. I was kind of not a great person at that point in time. I was really entitled, I thought the whole world worked for my benefit,
Yeah, it brings you down a couple notches.
And like I mean, in a bad way, but not in a bad way. I just felt like the universe would always give me whatever I needed, which it does, but like, I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought everything would be sunshines and rainbows, like, listen, I didn't need that. I needed to be smacked a little bit. I love travel. I can't wait to, like, I don't know, my goal in life is to yeah, be more like you, I guess, you know, like more just have different locations that I frequent and, you know, but I do think establishing some roots back in California is the stepping stone for me to actually do that happily. Because, yeah, that's where I always like to be rooted, but I
Yeah,
just,
I'd like to move around, maybe spend a month to 3 months in different locations around the world while I still can, until I get older and I'm not as willing to move around that much. But um, it's moving around a lot less than a lot of people do today with the every two nights you're changing hotels.
I find
So
that so exhausting.
yeah, it really is, and you spend half or a full day traveling and the other, it's just yeah, it's not efficient.
No, it's not efficient. And it's not like
Yeah.
good for your body. I mean, my body is
Oh,
full leak when I don't know, travel knocks it out of me at this point. Like, so okay, you like spending your life doing that. Do you like do yoga? How do you like do you work out? Like how do you keep because I mean, I'm sorry, planes tire me out. My spine hurts all the time. Like I feel like when you're traveling to the extent that you do, you really, really need to be like super mindful of like taking care of yourself to keep going because it is physically and mentally and spiritually exhausting to be on a plane that much and also like super uncomfortable and like dragging around luggage. I feel like you have to really take care
yeah.
of yourself, you know?
Yeah, planes, trains, and automobiles. It's wreaked havoc on my lower back. Just,
Yeah.
sitting that much. And of course I try to get aisle seats and get up as much as possible, stretch and things. But it can be physically exhausting. There's no doubt about it. And just dragging a bag around the world can, be a bitch. And
Yeah.
uh,
Have you learned the art of traveling light yet? Because I have.
no, and I'm probably one of the worst because when when I travel longer, I don't want to wear the same 5 pairs of underwear or one pair of jeans or one pair of shoes. I need a little variety.
Mhm.
When you're at home, you've got a whole thing to choose from, and you can move things around. But so I tend to overpack a little bit. And because I'm gone for 3 months, and I
Well,
want
also different climates too. You're not going
that's
to the same region
for the
either.
most part, I travel about the same whether what in 90% of the places I go to, unless I'm going somewhere extreme like Antarctica, Lapland.
Yeah,
For the
Lapland
most part,
sounds
I
really
travel the
cool.
same. It's all about layers. Unless I know I'm just going to a beach destination or, a warm climate only, like Cuba, then I can just, pack that much lighter. I don't need jackets and things like that, or
Yeah.
even, a fleece or something.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, you learn. But for the most part, 90% of what I travel the same way 90% of the time.
Which
And
is
as soon as I need a cuticle scissors or want to bring my Swiss Army knife, you got to check a bag.
I mean, I've never been able to travel in the whole history of my life, even for 3 days, without checking a bag. It's just not
Really?
it will never fucking happen. But I can say, like, I don't know. I try to intentionally pack so much more because I'm nothing killed me more. Well, yes, I moved across the country to another country with 7 luggages, but immediately put them at an apartment. But nothing was worse in my entire life than getting to fucking Italy when I knew I left like some stuff in a storage locker in France. But I was like, I'm spending 3 months on this island. So I had 2 goddamn suitcases and just being exhausted from the plane, trains, and automobiles and boats that I was on and having to lug 2 heavy ass fucking suitcase up those fucking cobblestone steps and stairs and in the buses. I'm like perpetually traumatized by those experiences. And then like holding up all the people because I need to get on this full ass bus with like my 2 bags and everyone's glaring at me like I'm a demon and like, like foreigners are having like the German people couple who are on their honeymoon are like lifting my baggages up the stairs because I just can't even do it. And I'm so tired and I'm like, oh my God. So I just after that I just feel like I would love to learn how to travel a little lighter, but I
Yeah, I always, you can always buy stuff there. If you forget something, I like to travel with what I call my B and C clothes sometimes, so that I can just leave them and buy other things there that are maybe local or more interesting, better, different style that you won't find here in the US or something. And then I'll just leave some things, maybe for the maid or donate them. And then, I've got room to buy some things. But I don't buy any, tchotchkes or anything like that. So once in a while I'll get a piece of clothing.
Yeah, I would be buying clothing from every region, but
Yeah.
me, but I can't see. I travel, most of my clothes are vintage, so I can't leave any of my clothes behind ever, ever. And I will bring them all because it's a fashion show for me every time I travel, I don't go out much. In my fucking pajamas on my podcast, I don't go out much unless I'm traveling. So when I'm traveling, I have a day outfit, a night outfit, like, accessories for it's a production. It's a fucking production. I'll just put it. Obviously, though, if I'm on your Lapland trip, though, I'm going to be cold as fuck. So there's going to be less of a fashion production in that aspect. I'm going to probably. Yeah. Do you like rent clothes when you go out there? Or do you have all these things?
Yeah. So in
Like,
Lapland,
that's really heavy.
In Lapland, we provide snowsuits and boots. In Antarctica, they provide boots, but you do have to bring your own outer gear. But again, it's about layers and just breaking the wind.
Okay. Yeah. See, like I could do that part, but the snowsuit part, that's like, yeah, that's good. Because honestly, if you have one, good for you, I guess. But like bringing that would be your whole suitcase, I feel, right?
Totally. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's for sure.
I know this is really surface level, not deep right now, but I'm sorry. Packing is deep. It goes really deep for me, and anyone listening, I don't really know if it goes deep for you, but that's good to know. I do. When you said Lapland, I was thinking about the clothes. I'm not gonna lie, it was my first thought. What the fuck do you wear in Lapland? Oh, snowsuits.
Yeah, so we provide the snowsuits, which and boots, which makes it so you don't have to bring them, which is huge. That's such a luxury.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Because I, like I said, I travel for 2-3 months at a time, and so one time I think I was going to scout Lapland, but I'd spent the first 2 months in Southern Europe. So now I'm going up to Lapland, and I've got to carry around boots and winter jacket and hat and gloves for 2 months for 2 weeks that I'm going to be up in Lapland. So that was a pain in the ass.
Well,
so you get creative. Maybe you go buy something at a used clothing store if you don't need it too much, or you buy something new over there. But I don't want to drag that shit around the world.
No, absolutely not. That's a lot. I guess that would be. You're right. Everywhere else is kind of like the same, just layered up. But I mean, those are just like extreme climates. So we're not. Have you been to Iceland? Because it's like high on my list. How do you feel?
Yeah, I have been to Iceland. It was fantastic. Really a beautiful place and very small population. I think there's 250,000 people live in the entire country, but it's stunningly beautiful, and it's quite a place to go to.
And then, like, because you have roots in the United States, how do you feel about having roots here? Like, based on our society and our culture, which I think is a little fucked, like, and then going to all these places, do you have the urge to, like, not have roots here anymore, or are you pretty okay with here?
I mean, I'm proud to be an American, although, the past 8 years or so are kind of questionable. But I don't think I'd ever give up my U.S. citizenship, but I could definitely see moving to Europe, which is something on my list, especially to be near all my trips,
right?
As I bring them back to Europe, and then I'm just a 2-hour flight away from everything, and I'd like to live over there anyway. So that's what I think about for the future. So, but that nationalism that we tend to have here in the U.S., that everything we do is right and best, and that's what I've learned from travel is that's just not the case.
That's just not the case, and it's a lot
of other ways to do things.
Closed-minded worldview, I think. Okay, so if you could pick when you move, where would you live in Europe?
I'm looking at northern Spain is really high on that list. I need to be near a decent sized airport and have good Wi-Fi. That's the main main thing. And I want a little action. So not some tiny little village, but medium-sized town. What's that?
Is it? I wouldn't suggest it as someone who lived in a tiny little village. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't fucking do it.
Yeah. So Bilbao is a pretty good sized city, Santander, and so potentially live up there. But I'm not sure I just want to stay somewhere. I want to move around and try some different places and find out where I feel best, and then maybe in 10 years buy something and settle down and have a real base. But while I can still move around as much as I do, why not?
No, why not keep it going for
Keep
sure?
it going. Yeah, exactly.
But I do. Yeah, I think having a base in Europe would be easy for travel, so that makes sense. But
And it can be really inexpensive, especially when it comes to healthcare and even living expenses.
I just read something too today. Spain is really killing it with the climate control. Their emissions have gone lower, have lowered in the last 2 years, which I think is exceptional news because I didn't think anyone's emissions had lowered lately.
Yeah.
I thought we were all fucked and all doomed, but apparently some places are doing a lot better than others. So I love that about Spain. I think we should learn a thing or two about Spain in that aspect. And
Yeah, I call Spain the other Italy, and now I call Portugal the other Spain. But what I mean by that is, everyone knows Italy. Everyone loves the idea of the Tuscan hill towns, and
they are really romantic.
oh, they're fantastic. It's fantastic.
They live up to the expectations.
Yeah, it does. But Spain has got all that as well. And it's got all the history, the olive oil, the food,
I just
everything.
literally want to go to Spain and eat all the olives and tapas until they roll me down the hill out of their country because they're like, you've eaten too many olives, tapas, and cheese. I'm like, at Albarino, that you gotta go, girl. You ate it all. That's
Wow.
She ate every olive and drank every bottle of Albarino. We gotta push her the fuck out of here. Yeah, I know. I haven't been to Spain yet, but I feel a very deep calling to explore. I like my
and then Portugal's similar in that sense that it's kind of like the other Spain in that it's even I call it off the beaten path, but I mean it's obviously very accessible. But now Portugal's getting its day. I mean now it's on the top.
Definitely being very popular now. Yeah,
for sure. And it took me a long time to really get there. I was there when I did my post-college trip to Europe, and I was like 3 days in Lisbon, but I didn't get back for another 30 years, I'll bet. And so I'm just in love with Portugal. It's wonderful.
So is my stepsister. She's moving there next year, so I'm like, or gonna try to at least, get a situation where she can actually stay,
Yeah.
I warned her how imperative it is to actually get the visa where you can make the money if you're not like a digital nomad, which she's not, because I was like, honey, I went with the visa where I can make the money, and it was fucking hard because I couldn't make the money. So, I hope she does though, because then I have people in Portugal. So it's an excuse to be in Portugal. Please move.
Oh, really?
So hopefully that goes well. But yeah, so it's been about an hour. So thank you for coming. Do you have any last tips, tricks, advice, words of wisdom other than go see him at the Continental Drifter.co and book a fucking trip? But other than that, what do you got?
Yeah, so I go back to the be here now. The past is gone, so why worry about it? The future never really comes. All we have is the present. So be present.
Be present. Be here now. I love it. Everybody go book a fucking trip. Book. Why can't I talk anymore? I have 3 of these podcasts today. I gotta keep being vocal, but everyone go book a trip or check out his website, check out his YouTube, all the things. And like you said earlier, if you don't if you can't do the dates and you maybe like you and your girlfriends want to take a girlies trip, or you have a honeymoon or boyfriend girlfriend trip, or like, you know, whatever kind of trip, he does also plans your side
Yeah,
of,
organizations, maybe you're in a camera club or something, a travel group or something, and I can arrange those trips.
which is awesome and I think really cool because
You can stay at this private 11th century castle if you like.
who doesn't want to do that? And honestly, as I get older, I used to think it's fun. I think planning travel is genuinely so fucking stressful. I just want to show up. I want to not think about it. I want to wander until I'm lost or have like a solid plan. But I hate going on the Google the whole time. Like, what's around here? I didn't make an
Exactly.
itinerary. So yeah, I think that's
Well,
awesome.
that's the other thing, and that's a really good point too. Is we spend a lot of time during a trip doing the research when
Yeah,
we should be traveling. We
right.
should
Like
be
technically, you
absorbing the place.
should and could do that before you go, but
Exactly.
I don't know. It is. There's a
A
lot.
balance. It's
There's balance.
balance.
Yeah.
It's all balance. Yep.
Exactly. Be here now. It's all balance.
That's right.
That's all we got. Thank you for coming, Ralph.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
It was a great time, and thank you all for listening and tuning in to another week of The Layla Show. Bisous, ciao. The Layla Show.